Hey folks, this is Matt with Southern Energy. I'm out here today with Michael Peden from Prime Energy Group, and we're here to talk about secondary air barriers. A lot of y'all are used to seeing this in your chases and on your knee walls in particular, but with recent price hikes in some wood products and some actual shortages with structural sheathing, this stuff can be hard to come by. So we want to look at some alternatives, because this is a critical detail when you're talking about air sealing your home, whether it's to meet Energy Star or Hero incentives, but also to protect the insulation in the wall that's not going to be touched by drywall. So one of the most accessible products out there right now for covering your chases and knee walls is going to be Housewrap. It's not a perfect product and it needs some extra attention, but this is compliant with programs like Energy Star and Eco Select. So I've got Michael here with Prime Energy, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about these products and what we need to do to make them airtight.
As Matt teed up, we're looking at a demonstration wall with Housewrap used as a secondary air barrier. What we would like to keep in mind is that not all Housewraps are created the same. So this Housewrap happens to be a woven Housewrap, which means around the edges and even in the perimeter and in the middle, you can tear it very easily. And as far as I know, there's not a woven Housewrap on the market that has been tested to be an air barrier. But you know, it really is less about the product choice. Obviously, you want to choose the right products for the situation that you're in or the install. But if you're stuck using the woven Housewrap, then you just want to make sure it's, just like everything else, that it's installed correctly. And for this Housewrap, we tacked it up using staples just to hold it, so we can get in here and use button caps to air seal it. This button cap provides a nice air seal around all the fasteners in the Housewrap. So just going to put a few in here.
It's also worth mentioning that if you choose to use a flexible air barrier for Energy Star, that you are required to use button caps with a head 1 inch or greater in diameter.
Yep. And then another important thing to do with the Housewrap products is to seal. Oh, there you go, you got the tape. You want to seal around the perimeter, and also where you have two pieces of Housewrap meet. And it's very important that when you're choosing what type of tape to use, that it's a tape that is rated to be used with the Housewrap that you're installing. So if you're installing X brand Housewrap, you probably want to use X brand tape with that Housewrap. So it's like, you want to match the brand of Housewrap with the brand of tape, because they've been tested to work together. An area that is going to be a challenge to air seal when it comes to Housewrap is going to be this perimeter here. There's definitely not a Housewrap tape on the market that I know of that sticks to wood, or that's rated to be used on wood. So around the perimeter, what you're going to want to do is do the best you can and run a bead of foam sealing the perimeter of the Housewrap. So, and then,
So what kind of foam would be appropriate for sealing the edges?
well, this is a 1-part polyurethane foam. It could be window and door type, or it can be gaps and cracks. It just needs to be a can foam that's going to work the best here. I mean, you could use a 2-part spray foam kit as well, and that would work, but that's going to provide a better air seal than if you were to try to tape it here or just rely on fasteners for that edge.
We want to use that foam and make sure that we're getting it in between the Housewrap and the wood to form a positive
Right.
air seal.
Yeah, so really the best thing that you could do here, honestly, would be to, if you have the perimeter here, this would be a best practice. Run a bead of foam here, and then kind of sandwich
That's great.
the Housewrap into the foam.
So now we've got an air seal behind the Housewrap, we've got a button cap holding it on, and we've taped our seams.
Yeah, that actually is going to work really well. You can also use caulk behind it as well. A caulk that's rated to, hold, that's rated to adhere to both Housewrap and wood at the same time. So it's all about product compatibilities. You want to make sure the products that you're using are compatible with each other. And again, we would prefer to start with a house wrap that is non-woven, that is rated as an air barrier. There's some brands out there that may start with the tie in the name, that that would be good to choose from. But there's a lot of different house wraps in the market that do qualify as air barriers.
Got you. So the air barrier is the critical detail of the house wrap. But we also have to make sure that we're using the proper fasteners so that this stays in place.
Right.
We want to make sure that we're taping our seams because that's obviously a pathway for air leakage, and we need to seal the edges. I don't want to lead folks down the wrong path, that really this is probably not the best alternative to a structural sheathing, but it provides an excellent stopgap while we're waiting for materials to be delivered during the summer of 21, or we're dealing with high prices and potential shortages. This will keep us moving. This will help keep our houses compliant, and it will meet program targets as long as we observe those details.
One other thing to look at when you're looking at alternatives to structural sheathing is that you don't have to necessarily use house wrap. You could, if you're already having other areas in your home spray foamed, you could use spray foam in these cavities as well, because spray foam acts as its own air barrier also. So there's also that method, and probably the least another uncommon, well, this would be a more uncommon method than even spray foam, would be using rigid board in the walls. I mean, you could cut that to fit, foam around the edges, but I don't really know many people that are going to go through that trouble. So it's really going to come down to T-ply, it's going to come down to structural sheathing, house wrap, and for the house wrap it needs to be a house wrap that's rated as an air barrier, not a woven wrap like this one, or spray foam are going to be your three primary alternatives.
Very cool. So as long as we follow Michael's installation instructions and we're using button caps, we're taping our seams, and we're sealing the edges, we can still make houses tight this year, even as we're waiting for deliveries. All right, that's it. Even with some material shortages on the horizon and rising prices for wood products, we still have some good options for sealing up those chases and knee walls. House wrap is what we looked at today, and when we do the details right, we can have a fully program compliant solution that'll help you meet Energy Star or Hero Code or any of that. Remember, we've got to button cap the edges, we've got to foam seal, and we've got to tape the seams so that we have an airtight barrier in those locations. This is critically important because it's going to stop air leakage in the house, and it's going to help your insulation do a better job so that you have less warranty calls. Michael, thanks for joining us today. I look forward to doing it again, man.
Definitely.